Eddie Jekyll and Whitey Kendall, the officials, move out as Alabama is first to break huddle and move out. They'll have 6'6" Jim Fulmer against Ed Beck, giving Kentucky 1-inch height advantage. At the guards, Vernon Hatton will have a half-inch height advantage on Gene Beard, while Smith will have 3 inches on Bratton. At the back line, though, Alabama will have 2 inches height advantage. Hamner 6'6" to Johnny Cox 6'4". Krigler and Quinn Dawsey are both 6'3". Here we go. The tap by Beck knocked over the head of Hatton into backcourt and moves back to pick it up, and the ball game is underway. Over to Adrian Smith on the right side to Krigler, back outside to Hatton, who fakes from the outside from the free throw line. Jump shot no good. Taken off by Fulmer of Alabama. He hands it over to Dick Bratton. And so Kentucky fails to score the first trip down the floor, and Hamner walks up the backcourt for the Crimson Tide. Alabama playing Fulmer down on the baseline, bringing him out now as it goes to Quinn Dawsey down on the left side. Moves out on Cox, breaks all the way, and a whistle from the outside with a foul against Kentucky's Johnny Cox. First foul of the ball game, which comes after 31 seconds of play. Alabama guards Beard and Bratton back up to the center court as Quinn Dawsey of Alabama goes to the free throw line. Shooting one, it's good. Alabama leads by 1-0. Vernon Hatton gets the incoming pass from Ed Beck, moves up over the center court stripe. Alabama's in a 2-3 zone. Here's Krigler taking it out deep, gives over to Hatton, back to Krigler, back out deep to Hatton, fakes on the left side. Adrian Smith playing in the deep left corner. Here's Hatton whipping to the right side. Krigler, a 20-footer, it's good. So John Krigler hits the first field goal of the ball game, and after 50 seconds, the score stands Kentucky 2, Alabama 1. Alabama moving back to the attack now with little Dick Bratton whipping one down the right side to Hamner. Looks at Fulmer in the pivot, gives to him, turns to face Beck, breaks down the baseline, can't get in, gives out into the right corner to Beard. Back out deep, the passes to Dick Bratton, swinging back to the left. Fulmer against Beck, playing the pivot at the free throw line to Quinn Dawsey on the left side. Into Fulmer, quick jump shot over Beck's good. So Jim Fulmer, the Alabama co-captain, hits off the baseline about 7 or 8 feet to the left to put Alabama back in front at 3-2. Hatton in front court, whips over to Krigler. Back to Hatton, left side to Cox. Back out to Hatton. Beck in on the pivot, gets it, turns, passes back to Hatton, over to Krigler. Alabama's in a zone. Aggressive out front. Here it is into Beck. Off the right to Krigler. Takes another shot. No good. Tapped by Cox. No good. Rebounding, Alabama's E.B. Hamner. And so the Crimson Tide get the ball with the lead for the first time at 3-2. 5'9" Dick Bratton walks up the backcourt over the 10-second line, starts to the left with a pass to Quinn Dawsey. Beck playing Fulmer at the free throw line. Quinn Dawsey breaks down the middle on Cox and lays it in. Quinn Dawsey with his first field goal sends Alabama in front by 5-2. Hatton back in front court for the Wildcats. 2 minutes to go as he passes left side to Cox. 20-foot jump shot. No good. Off the rim to Alabama as Quinn Dawsey gets it in the deep right corner. Hands it over to Dick Bratton. So Kentucky is taking the outside shots on this Alabama zone. Alabama, meanwhile, has been taking the in-close shots, and they lead 5-2. Up in the front court, here's Gene Beard down the right side to Hamner. Looks at Fulmer on the pivot, takes it to the right corner. Now Beard passes back outside to Dick Bratton. Bratton brings it deep against Adrian Smith. Whips again on the right side to Hamner. Hamner fakes to break with a foul whistle from the outside and a foul pushing against Alabama. It goes against Gene Beard, a pushing foul as he tried to set a screen. It's his first foul of the ball game. 17 minutes, 33 seconds to go here in Montgomery in the first half. Adrian Smith with one free throw goes to the Kentucky charity stripe. Kentucky field goal by Krigler. Quinn Dawsey with a field goal and a free throw, and Hamner with a field goal lead Alabama. Smith's free throw, short, no good. Beck taps it back, but it's taken by Alabama's Gene Beard, and the score hangs at 5-2. Now it's over to Dick Bratton, and he and Beard talk it over, walking up the backcourt. Kentucky guards not picking them up till they get to the center court stripe. Down the right side, it comes to Hamner. He drops the ball. Quinn Dawsey picks it up, breaks down the right side. Beck switches off on him, and he passes outside to Hamner. Back to Fulmer on the baseline. Drives. Beck knocked it out of his hands and out of bounds. Alabama keeps possession over the baseline to the right of the basket. Here in Montgomery, we've played 3 minutes. It's Alabama 5, Kentucky 2. Pass goes into the right corner to Dick Bratton. Bratton back to Fulmer. He turns and shoots high and good. Fulmer from 15 feet cans his second field goal, and Alabama leads 7-2. Vernon Hatton brings the Cats back to the attack. Passes right side to Krigler. Here's a 20-footer. Good. John Krigler gets his second field goal to cut the Alabama lead back to 4 points. Or Checkers 3 points at 7-4. Dick Bratton, Alabama, back in front court. Kentucky shooting from the outside against this Alabama zone. Krigler's hit twice from the right side. Here it is for Alabama on the right side to Hamner. He brings it out to the top rim of the circle, gives to Quinn Dawsey, breaks against Cox on the right side, then passes out deep to Bratton. Fakes to Fulmer, breaking down the right side. Alabama seems to be keying this offense on Fulmer, who comes off the pivot to the right corner, out to Quindazzi, breaks down the left side on Cox and hooks. No good. Beck has it knocked away by Hamner, taken by Krigler. Krigler slows up in backcourt now, passes over to Adrian Smith. Smith moves up over the center court stripe, gives to Hatton, who directs the attack. Down on the baseline to Cox. He takes a hook. No good. Beautiful tap, but Beck rolls off. He knocks another one up, no good. And now Alabama's Gene Beard pulls it in. So Alabama still leads 7-4. As we've played 4 minutes here in Montgomery. Bratton walks over the center court stripe for the Tide. Passes on the right side to E.B. Hamner. Back to Bratton, back out to Hamner, who's deep. Top rim of the circle to Quindazzi. Out deep to Bratton. 5'9", Dick Bratton, got Adrian Smith on him. Staying deep, moving to the right. Looking at Hamner, giving him a high two-handed pass. Fuller under the basket, gets it. Fulmer falls away from Beck, misses. Beck rebounds. Flips it off to Krigler, up the way to Smith. Kentucky trying to fast break the zone. Adrian Smith down the left side is fouled by Dick Bratton of Alabama. First foul on Bratton. Second against the Tide. 15 minutes, 23 seconds here in the first half. Adrian Smith back to the Kentucky free throw line, shooting one. Smith has had Kentucky's only previous try and missed. Alabama leads 7-4. Kentucky's had one lead of 2-1. Smith's free throw is good, and the score is 7-5. So Kentucky has scored 3 straight points on Alabama, but only after falling behind 7-2, and now Alabama takes timeout. It's the first time out of the ball game. Charged to the Crimson Tide with 15 minutes and 20 seconds in the first half. The score: Alabama 7, Kentucky 5. Krigler has scored 4 points for Kentucky on the 2 field goals, and Adrian Smith 1 for 2 at the free throw line. For Alabama, Fulmer leads with 4 points on 2 field goals, and Quindazzi has picked up a field goal and a free throw. In ball games played this afternoon in the Big Ten, Northwestern beat Michigan by 9 points. Northwestern 75, Michigan 66. Down in the Atlantic Coast Conference, it was Wake Forest over South Carolina by 13 points. Wake Forest 72, South Carolina 59. On the West Coast today, Stanford beat Southern Cal by 8 points. Stanford 69, Southern Cal 61. In the East, George Washington beat VPI. George Washington 76, VPI 72. And on the coast again, Washington State beat Washington. The score was Washington State 76, Washington 52. The ball goes to Alabama as we return to play with Gene Beard passing in backcourt to Dick Bratton, who moves over the center stripe against Adrian Smith. Alabama with a 2-point lead. Passing to Fulmer on the pivot at the top rim of the circle. Back out deep to Beard on the left side to Quindazzi. He takes a one-bounce dribble, turns his back to Cox, and passes out to Bratton. Bratton moving against Smith slowly to the right and deep. Passes over on the side to Beard. Beard a one-bounce dribble and a high pass to Fulmer on the pivot. He turns, backs away high from Beck. Gives off to Quindazzi down the right side. Feeds in there. Beard breaking under the basket. Walks with it, and it's out of bounds to Kentucky. Over at Auburn tonight, it is halftime. Score: Auburn 39, Tennessee 38. Here's Kentucky going to the attack now. Here's Adrian Smith breaking against Beard, turning his back to the basket. Tries to get a shot away. A whistle and a foul against Alabama. Pushing foul against Gene Beard. His second personal foul and the third on the Crimson Tide. The report just coming in from Auburn. At halftime there, it is Auburn 39, Tennessee 38. Adrian Smith 1 for 2 at the Kentucky line hitting. And so the score is Alabama 7, Kentucky 6. The Cats have picked up 4 points on the Tide since Alabama ran off to a 7-2 advantage. Field goal by Krigler, 2 free throws by Smith. Now here's Quindazzi leading a weave, handing off to Bratton, takes it down the right side. Gives to Fulmer in the pivot against Beck, keeps his back, turns and shoots. Short. Beck fouled him across the arms. First foul on Ed Beck. Second against the Cats. Big Jim Fulmer goes to the free throw line for 2 shots. Fulmer owns 2 of the 3 Alabama field goals, which is the difference in the score. Now here's Fulmer. Shooting the first one good. And Alabama takes the lead at 8-5. Check us 8-6. Second by Fulmer is good. And the score stands Alabama 9, Kentucky 6. Back at the front court's Vernon Hatton, setting it up, passing left side to Smith, taking a return pass. Off the right to Krigler to Cox in the right corner. Back outside to Krigler, deep to Hatton, straight away. On the left side to Smith, to Beck in the pivot. He fakes, breaks, gives to Krigler from 15 feet, no good. Short, Smith knocks it up into the air, and Alabama takes it as Dick Bratton runs under it. So Kentucky trying still to shoot from the outside on this Alabama zone, which is pretty tightly compressed. Here it is to Beard on the right side. He brings it out to the top rim of the circle, gives to Quindazi. Off to Dick Bratton. Alabama using the weave as Bratton bakes on Smith, gets away from him, misses. Krigler knocks it out of bounds to Alabama onto their own basket. 13 minutes, 35 seconds to go in this first half here at Montgomery. Alabama 9, Kentucky 6. Fulmer out of bounds, gives a pass to Beard. Now deep to Quindazi. Quindazi moving to the left, passes deep to Dick Bratton. Bratton about 40 feet away as he starts moving slowly to the right, but not moving in too much on Smith. Whips to Beard on the side. Beck playing in behind Fulmer on the left side. Here it goes now. Beard breaks, gives off to the right corner to Quindazi, outside to Bratton. Moves into the free throw line, hands off to Gene Beard, bringing it out deep. On the left side to Quindazi. Outside it goes again to Beard. Beard staying deep with it, swinging back to the right now against Hatton. Fakes one on the right side to Hamner, passes over to Bratton, takes a return. Whipped on the right side now to Hamner. Hamner holding the ball over his head, looking at Fulmer. Now it goes over to Bratton, starts down the right side and backs away. Into the pivot to Hamner, to Fulmer rather. Here's a jump shot, it's good. Fulmer pours in his third field goal, and Alabama leads 11-6. That's 4 quick points by Fulmer. After Kentucky had moved to within 1 point at 7-6. Here's Hatton in front court, moving left side. A 15-foot jump shot that's no good with a whistle on the play. Charging foul is called against Alabama. It's on Dick Bratton, and it's his second personal foul. 4 against Alabama is Vernon Hatton on the Kentucky free throw line for 1 shot. Hatton scoreless up to the free throw line for the first time. 12 minutes, 27 seconds in the first half. Hatton's free throw, no good. Nice rebound by Johnny Cox, who goes up to shoot, no good. Beck taps, Cox taps, outside Krigler gets the rebound. Passes deep to Smith, left side to Hatton. He's open from 20 feet, no good. Fulmer rebounds for Alabama. So the Crimson Tide leads 11-6. And the fans catching fire. Up into front court now is Dick Bratton. Passes down the right side to Beard. Outside to Quindazi at the top of the circle. Fakes off to Bratton going by. Out deep now to Gene Beard. Beard over to Quindazi, top rim of the circle. He moves into the free throw line, gives to Fulmer, facing back on the right side. Deep pass now to Hamner. Hamner passes on the free throw line to Quindazi, breaks left on Cox, comes off on the side, shoots one to Fulmer at the free throw line, back to Quindazi. Outside to Beard, deep to Bratton. 11 minutes, 40 seconds in the first half. Alabama leads 11-6. In the pivot to Fulmer, out deep though, Beck playing him loosely. Fulmer breaks on a 1-bounce dribble, pulls up, gives out to Quindazi. Over to Hamner, moves in on Krigler, goes under and hooks, no good. Beck rebounds for Kentucky, whips up to John Krigler. Cats trying to run now, but Alabama stopping them. Krigler pulls up, flips over to Smith, fakes a shot from 20 feet, moves in, and jump shot no good. Smith picks up the rebound nicely though, whips it out to Cox, and a walking infraction by Adrian Smith is called, which nullifies a jump shot that was good by Cox. Score remains Alabama 11, Kentucky 6. Dick Bratton just now walking over the center stripe. Passes left side to Quindazi. Into Fulmer on the pivot. Fulmer a 1-bounce dribble. Hands off to Quindazi. Under the basket it goes, and Beard lays it up. No good. Krigler rebounds for Kentucky. Passes up the way to Adrian Smith to Cox in front court on the right side. Out to Smith. Over to Krigler, left side to Hatton. He weaves, breaks in, gives to Krigler. He moves down the left side, gives in the corner to Cox. Jump shot, no good, short off the rim. Cox rebounding, mows it out, drops the ball, and walks with it. So twice, Kentucky has gone against the Alabama zone and failed to score, and the Crimson Tide hangs on to its 5-point edge. Up into front court, Quindazi gives to Gene Beard, whips back to Quindazi on the left side, over to Dick Bratton, moving down that left side, breaking out to the 3-second zone, shooting as Adrian Smith fouled him. Shot's no good. That's the first foul on Smith and the third against Kentucky as Dick Bratton of Alabama moves into the free throw line to take 2 shots. Bratton making his first appearance at the free throw line. Alabama has not missed a free throw with 10 minutes, 10 seconds here in the first half. 11-6, Alabama leads in a stall game. Here's Bratton, 5'9" senior, shooting his first shot good. So Alabama has doubled the score on Kentucky at 12-6. Believe it or not, Kentucky lacks only 10 seconds of playing 10 minutes on the strength of 2 field goals and 2 free throws. Now Bratton on the line for his second try for Alabama. No good. Fulmer rebounds, pulls up a shot that's good. 4 4 field goals for Fulmer, and Alabama leads 14-6. Timeout, Kentucky. Well, it's the first timeout for the Wildcats. And listen to this crowd here in Montgomery roar its approval to the Alabama Crimson Tide, which, without the suspended Jack Cubison, has put Kentucky into a 14-6 hole with 10 minutes 2 seconds here in the first half. Kentucky moved to within 1 point as a free throw by Adrian Smith made it 7-6, and then Alabama has peeled off 7 straight points. Fulmer getting all but one, which was a free throw by Bratton. Incidentally, in Lexington today, the Generals of Lafayette snapped an 11-year hold at St. X of Louisville it had on the state Class A swimming championship. Lafayette accumulated 93 points for the state title as Atherton finished second with 90 points. St. X was third with 37, and DuPont Manual finished fourth with 12 points. And down at Miami today, Oliarchy defeated Iron Lees in an upset in the Widener. Auburn is leading Tennessee 39-38 at halftime, and now we go back to play here in Montgomery with Hatton moving Kentucky back into front court. Left side pass to Cox, back to Hatton to Krigler. Outside it goes to Hatton, back to Krigler. Cox goes to the pivot, then goes off as Hatton moves to the right, gives to Krigler a 20-footer, no good. Alabama rebounds. As pulling it in on the bounce, Dan Quindazzi gives over to Dick Bratton. So Kentucky is taking good shots from 15 to 20 feet out against this Alabama zone, but they're not hitting. Alabama taking better shots than Kentucky so far and hitting. Here's Bratton on the right side for the Tide, looks into the pivot. Hamner moving off of it. Fulmer playing up on the free throw line right now as Beard has it out deep. Whips to Fulmer at the top rim of the circle. Bratton goes by. Fulmer moves left. Pulls up with back playing him closely. Gives off left side to Gene Beard. Beard just holds the ball away from Hatton and walks up this near side of the court as Alabama attacks the court off to our left. Down the left side to Quindazzi. Over to Bratton against Adrian Smith. Bratton moves out, cuts down on the free throw line, goes to the right corner, then passes out deep to Hamner. Alabama just keeping the ball out of play. After 11 minutes, they lead 14-6. Here it is to Fulmer. Hands right back to Bratton. Bratton whips to Quindazzi on the pivot. He moves in under the basket. Beck covers up on him, and he lays it up no good. Beck slaps it outside to Bratton of Alabama. He flips off to Quindazzi, out deep to Beard. Well, Alabama's in the stall tonight, and let's see how it comes out. Here's Quindazzi, gets away from Krigler. Beck picks him up, and a foul is called. Ed Beck drawing the personal, his second. Each team has committed 4 personals with 8 minutes 26 seconds here in the first half. Dan Quindazzi goes to the Alabama free throw line, shooting 2. This is the 3rd straight foul by Kentucky in the act of shooting. Quindazzi hits the first one. Alabama leads 15-6. Second shot, good. Alabama 16-6 over Kentucky. Kentucky has scored 6 points in this ball game, believe it or not. Here's Krigler on the right side, passing deep to Hatton now. Moves to the left, fakes a 15-foot shot, gives over to Smith. Cox goes to the pivot. Smith passes back deep to Hatton, over to Krigler. Right corner to Beck. The shot, good. Ed Beck with his first field goal of the night is the 3rd Wildcat to score, and it's Alabama 16, Kentucky 8. Dick Bratton moving Alabama back into the front court. Kentucky has made very little effort to fast break so far tonight, which, of course, has been one of the ways they've favored attack on the zone, is hit it before it can get set. Here's Bratton with it, deep on the right side for the Tide. Backing away from Adrian Smith now, who moves in on him. He breaks down the side. Cox switches over on him as he comes out the left side without a shot. Brings it on out deep again. Down the left side to Quindazzi, and the pivot to Fulmer. Fulmer, a hook from 15 feet, no good. Hatton rebounds for Kentucky. He's hit in the face by Alabama's E.B. Hamner. So that's the first foul on Hamner. That was incidental. Hamner had his arm swinging as he made a pivot to get back down court defensively and hit Hatton. That's 5 fouls against the Tide with 7 minutes 26 seconds to go. Hatton's on the free throw line. Hatton's had 1 try and missed it. He is scoreless. He shoots 1. 2-hander from between the knees is good. So the score is Alabama 16, Kentucky 9. Hatton down in backcourt bothering the Tide, which brings Hamner in to help him get the ball up into front court. Handing over to Dick Bratton now, sets the Tide up on a balanced court. Fulmer playing the pivot. Here it is on the right side to Fulmer, who comes off the pivot. Out deep to Bratton, moves down the right side just quickly on a dart and then backs away from Adrian Smith out deep. Gives to Fulmer at the top rim of the circle off the right side. It goes to Hamner. Without dribbling, he hands to Bratton, who moves in behind him. Alabama playing a stall game here tonight against Kentucky with 7 minutes in the first half. They lead 16-9. Fulmer gets it, now passes deep to Hamner. Down the right side against Johnny Cox on a two-bounce dribble, pivoting, passing back to Beard to Fulmer in the pivot. Fulmer gives over to Quindazzi. Back outside to Bratton. He works down the right side. Krigler switches off to pick him up as Quindazzi goes deep. In the pivot to Fulmer, knocked down by Beck, taken up by Johnny Cox. Into front court to Vernon Hatton on the right side against Beard. Turns his back to him. Shoots her to Beck to Cox. Cox moves down the right side on Quindazzi, who fouls him. For Quindazzi, that's his first foul. At 6 against Alabama. 6 minutes, 26 seconds here in the first half. Johnny Cox, scoreless, goes to the free throw line for one shot. Kentucky has 3 field goals. Alabama has 5. So Johnny Cox will shoot one. He's a two-handed shooter. Flips it up. Good. So the score now is Alabama 16, Kentucky 10. Alabama timeout. It is the third timeout of the game and the second called by the Crimson Tide. Well, Alabama leads by 16-10 here in Montgomery. Jack Cubison suspended, not dressed for tonight's game, and the Tide playing a stall against the Wildcats. Kentucky scoring. Krigler has 4. Beck has 2. Smith has 2. Hatton 1. Cox 1 for Alabama. Fulmer has 10. Quindazzi has picked up 5 and 1 for Bratton. Over at Auburn tonight, halftime, Auburn 39, Tennessee 38, as the Tigers lead Tennessee by 1 point. So these are the big games in the Southeastern Conference, these 4 teams that are now battling it out for the SEC championship. And we'll be back with you over these same Standard Oil stations Monday night at 8:45 Eastern Standard Time for the Kentucky-Auburn game, which is being played in Birmingham. Well, the Alabama timeout has elapsed. They have possession at midcourt as we get ready to go back to play. Neither team has made a substitution so far, as Dick Bratton of Alabama's out of bounds. Puts it in play in backcourt, Eugene Beard. Beard is 6'3", Bratton 5'9". Here it is to Fulmer, plays a high pivot on the right side, and a foul is called against Vernon Hatton, who ran into Fulmer, who was setting a screen, and that is the first foul on Vernon Hatton, the 5th foul against Kentucky, and 1 shot to Jim Fulmer. Fulmer has not missed a free throw. He's 2 for 2. 6 minutes, 14 seconds here in the first half as Fulmer eyes it and hits. Fulmer, with his 11th point, puts Alabama in front 17-10. Vernon Hatton moves up over the center court stripe, follows Beck into the pivot, off the right side from 20 feet, in and out. Taken out by Krigler, who lays it in. So John Krigler, with his 3rd field goal, pulls Kentucky to within 5 points, 17-12, as we go into the last 6 minutes of the first half. Dick Bratton of Alabama in front court, out deep with it. Passes to Fulmer on a high pivot, 20 feet away. Fulmer, a one-bounce dribble, hands to Bratton. Bratton moves to the right. Backing away from Smith now as he came off of a screen from Fulmer. Hands back to Bratton, back against Beck, hooks and misses. Beck rebounds for Kentucky, flips it over to Adrian Smith. Alabama gets 4 men down court to stop a 2-man fast break. Here it is out to Beck, over to Hatton on the right side, back over to Krigler. Off the right corner, he shoots no good, and Hatton is called for pushing. That's the 2nd foul on Vernon Hatton, and each team has committed 6 as we march the length of the court for another Alabama free throw. 5 minutes, 28 seconds in the first half. Hatton was trying to set a screen for Krigler, seemed to lose his balance and fall into Quindazzi, who goes to the free throw line for 1 Alabama chance. Quindazzi has not missed a free throw. Like Fulmer, he's hit 3 for 3. Quindazzi shoots no good this time. Beck taps behind him, but it's picked up by Quindazzi, and Alabama's got it back. Smith was playing behind Beck, but Beck's tap was off to the side, and Quindazzi off the free throw line had a little better advantage and did outrun Smith for it. Here's Fulmer passing into Quindazzi in the pivot, faces Cox, turns his back, and hooks good. Quindazzi, with his 2nd field goal, sends Alabama on top, 19-12. Vernon Hatton moves back into front court for Kentucky as we have 5 minutes in the first half. Moves to the right, down the side near the baseline, passes out to Cox, a 20-foot jumper. It's no good. Rebounding Quindazzi of Alabama. Hatton picks him up in the corner as he passes over to Bratton. Bratton walking up the backcourt for Alabama. Crimson Tide leading by 7 points. Bratton over the center stripe. Moving to the right side where he's picked up on a switch by Vernon Hatton. Gives back to Quindazzi, 25 feet straight away. Over to Bratton, dancing off to the right, staying deep. Now comes down the side, free throw line deep. Watches Fulmer out at the free throw line pivot. Whips a deep one to Beard. Beard over to Hamner, who's straight away, 25 feet, taking it to the right against Johnny Cox. Out deep to Beard. Alabama's in the stall against Kentucky here tonight. Into the pivot to Fulmer. Fulmer fakes to Bratton and hands to him in the right corner. Fulmer backs away and Bratton moves up the right side. Starts back down there. Hatton cuts him off and forces him back outside. Now Bratton backs away deep. 4 minutes to go. Bratton breaks the right side, gets away from Hatton. Had Hamner open under the basket, didn't see him, gives to Fulmer, and back takes it away from him. Hands over to Krigler, to Adrian Smith, who brings it in front court, gives to Hatton, who sets the Kentucky attack against this Alabama zone. Over to Krigler, out to Hatton, left side to Odie Smith. He breaks out on Hamner, pivots and gives out to Hatton, over to Krigler, right side to Beck. A one-bounce dribble. Here's a jump shot by Beck. Good. Ed Beck with his second field goal makes it Alabama 19, Kentucky 14. Only Krigler and Beck have got field goals for Kentucky. Beck 2, Krigler 3. Alabama has 6 field goals. They have a lead of only 1 field goal on Kentucky. They've done the damage at the free throw line. The team has missed only 2. Up in the front court now, E.B. Hamner, big 6'6" forward, moves into the free throw line, gives to Quindazzi, cut off on a break. He gives out deep to Bratton. Bratton sweeps down the right side, then backs away from Adrian Smith. 3 minutes and 10 seconds in the first half. Quindazzi breaks to the right corner, passes out deep to Beard, into Fulmer in the pivot. He jump shot over Krigler is good. Fulmer picks up his 5th field goal, and Alabama leads 21-14 as we move into the last 3 minutes of the first half here in Montgomery. Vernon Hatton up into front court, feeds to Krigler on the right side. Back to Hatton, on to Krigler in the right corner to Beck. Whips into the pivot to Cox. 3 men go for him, and he slaps it out to Krigler, to Hatton, to Krigler. Off the left side to Adrian Smith, breaks to the free throw line, gives to Beck. He fakes a shot, breaks to the right on Fulmer, lays it in. Ed Beck with a fine individual move, getting away from Fulmer for his 3rd field goal, makes it 21-16, and Kentucky moves back within 5 points. Dick Bratton of Alabama walking back up in the front court. Just timing the ball deep against Adrian Smith, moves down the right side. Cox picks him up on a switch, out to Hamner, to Quindazzi at the free throw line. Hands off to Bratton, breaks back to the right, gets a screen by Fulmer, but backs away. Bratton down the right side with a two-handed pass to Fulmer. Out to Gene Beard, who brings it deep for Alabama. We got 2 minutes in the first half. Into Fulmer, double teamed, he shoots, no good, with a foul on the play against Kentucky. It's against Ed Beck. And that is 3 of them on the Kentucky center. The bonus rule is now in effect with 1 minute 59 seconds to go. And as we stand here for Fulmer to shoot 2 free throws, he's in there for the first one. Fulmer has not missed a free throw. He is 3 for 3, has 13 points. He shoots no good on the first one. Score remains 21-16 for Alabama. Fulmer, Fulmer, shooting his second try. Good. Alabama 22, Kentucky 16. Vernon Hatton back in front court for the Wildcats. Passes right side to Krigler, to Beck in the right corner. Outside to Cox, a 20-foot jump shot, no good. Adrian Smith rebounds, knocked away from him. Cox picks it up, and another jump shot's no good. Now Fulmer takes it off for Alabama. Over to Gene Beard. And Alabama's going to freeze it for 1 minute and 40 seconds as Coach Gene Lambert comes up off the Alabama bench yelling 1 shot. So Alabama leading 22-16 is in the freeze. So since they are going to freeze it, let's take 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky. It's 29 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Back here at the Coliseum in Montgomery, the freeze goes on. Well, Alabama's been in a freeze for 20 minutes, really. 19 minutes, as we have 1 minute to go now. Bratton just stands holding the ball on his hip. Flips it over now from Quindazzi to Bratton. Smith moves in. Bratton moves down the left side, spins, moves back out deep, down the right side. The fans cheering Alabama for not playing basketball, which is a little strange. Quindazzi out deep to Beard. 36 seconds to go. Alabama leads by 6 points, 22-16. You know, a strange thing today, a lot of the Alabama people we were talking with were talking about Mississippi State stalling against them in Starkville when they trailed by 17-14 at the end of the first half. Auburn leads Tennessee by 1 point at the halftime over in Auburn. Now here's Beard on the right side, gets the ball for Alabama. 10 seconds to go. To Fulmer, he hooks it. No good. Rebound by Beck with 8 seconds to go. The Cats can get a shot. 5 seconds to go. Smith in front court. Gives over to Krigler, and as Krigler shoots no good, a foul is called on Alabama. Let's see who it's against. No hand goes up from the Crimson Tide. The bonus rule is in effect. 1 second to go. They have to finally call the referee to the scores table to find out who it's on. Now he's going to move out to the other official and find out who it's been called against. It's on Fulmer of Alabama, and it's his first one. That's 7 against the Crimson Tide. Adrian Smith will shoot 1. The bonus rule into effect for the first time. Smith hits and gets the bonus shot. So Kentucky's moved back to within 5 points at 22-17. Just 1 second now in the first half. Odie Smith on the line for his bonus try. No good. Beck slaps it up into the air. Krigler takes it and hooks. No good. Cox rebounds. Here's the shot. No good. And the horn sounds. By golly, that was a long 1 second, wasn't it? And that brings Dr. Lambert up to the scores table. Well, that's the end of the first half of play. And the cheering, of course, is for the stalling Tide of Alabama. As they leave the floor with a halftime lead. The scoreboard says 22-18. But the score is 22-17 because Adrian Smith missed that bonus shot. So the scoreboard is wrong. It's 22-17 here at halftime. And here's your individual scoring. Good, and a jump is called. Quindazzi and Krigler will jump on the Kentucky free throw line. Both boys are 6'3". A little exchange between the two. Now here we go with the jump. The tap is back in deep in Alabama's front court. Bratton picks it up on the run and misses. And a foul on Hatton, who moved in to foul hard from the rear for his 3rd personal foul. Alabama's Dick Bratton is still on the floor injured. That's the first personal foul of the second half, coming 19 seconds after play started. That tap was knocked back deep by Krigler, and Bratton went for it. Bratton's up walking around, apparently okay as he goes to the free throw line. Hatton fouled him from the rear as Bratton broke in to get the bouncing ball at center court. So Bratton of Alabama, 1 for 2, stands up for 2 Alabama chances. Kentucky got only 6 field goals in the first half. Beck and Krigler dividing them. Now Bratton is ready to go with his first try. Cubazon did not dress tonight. First one's good. Alabama goes back in front by 6 points. Kentucky has had one lead of 2-1. Since then, they've been able to get no closer than 1 point at 7-6. Alabama broke the 7-6 situation. Here's Hamner missing the second shot, and Cox rebounds for Kentucky. Krigler goes to the floor, moving up the backcourt. Smith in front court to Hatton. Over to Smith, deep to the left. He moves down the left side, turns his back on Hamner, gets to Cox. Jump shot, good. Johnny Cox gets his first field goal of the night to make the score Alabama 23, Kentucky 19. Dick Bratton walks up the backcourt for Alabama. Comes over the 10-second line, whips one to Quindazzi on the left side. Krigler plays him loosely as he's deep. Outside it goes to Bratton. He brings it back to the right side. Krigler switches off on him as Quindazzi has picked up Adrian Smith. Bratton holding it out deep to the right side. Starts down that side, free throw line deep. Now backs away from Krigler, who switches off to Quindazzi. Quindazzi gets the ball and passes it right back to Bratton. Smith moves in on him. Bratton stays deep, moving to the left. Down the side, pulls it up, passes a high one to Fulmer. He turns at the free throw line and misses. Off with the rebound is Johnny Cox. Flips it over to Krigler and over to Adrian Smith. Up to Vernon Hatton, just in the backcourt. Now he moves into the top rim of the circle, gives to Smith. Sets, moves in, 15-foot jump shot, no good. Ed Beck goes for the rebound and misses it as it goes off the little 5'9" Dick Bratton. Bratton is the only man under 6 feet for either team tonight. And after a minute and a half of the second half, it's Alabama 23, Kentucky 19. Up in the front court now is Bratton to Fulmer out on the top rim of the circle. Bratton breaks. Fulmer looks at him, then gives deep to Quindazzi. He moves to the right side. Passes out deep to Gene Beard. Beard against Hatton, looks at Fulmer on the pivot, out on a high pivot at the top of the circle. He gives over to Bratton now. Bratton down the right side to Fulmer, who's come off of the pivot, out deep to Quindazzi. Alabama in a stall against Kentucky here tonight. The style of play has not changed at all in the game. Defensively, Alabama's in a zone and playing a delayed offense, as Bernie Shively identified it. Alabama stalling. Now here's Bratton getting it on the left side in the 3-second zone, brings it out up the right side without taking a shot. Adrian Smith goes for him. Bratton slips and falls, loses the ball, and Johnny Cox gets it for Kentucky. Fine defensive play by Adrian Smith, who forced the fumble. Here's Hatton in front court to Cox to Krigler on the right side. Back to Cox. Here's the jump shot. No good. Krigler taps a rebound. No good. Beck knocks it in. Ed Beck gets his 4th field goal of the game, and here to the floor, hurt, is Ed Beck. Beck down on the floor is hurt. We do not know what happened as Beck tapped in his 4th field goal to pull Kentucky within 2 points, 23-21. Let's see what's happened. Trainer Rusty Payne moves out and over him. Harry Lancaster and Adolph Rupp move over the fallen center, who's picked up 4 field goals tonight. Beck leads in field goal shooting with 4, Krigler 3, Cox 1. As now with 17 minutes and 18 seconds to go, the Cats have come within 2 points of Alabama, 23-21. Well, Beck has done a great job for the Cats tonight, and if he is hurt and lost here, it would be a tremendous loss for the Cats. Coach Adolph Rupp calls one of the officials over now. We do not know what happened, but Beck is well away from the Kentucky basket where he just tapped in the field goal. It's an official's timeout. Beck comes up on his knees now and is standing up. Beck is walking around under his own power, bends over, limbering up. Coach Adolph Rupp moves over to one of the officials again, pointing out something. Trainer Rusty Payne with him. Well, Beck is going to stay in the ball game. He's not yet ready to come back to play as the trainer stands in front of him along with Coach Rupp. Auburn has moved in front of Tennessee by 1 point with 4 minutes to go. Auburn 65, Tennessee 64. Well, here we are back to play in Montgomery. Alabama's got the ball with a 23-21 lead. Dick Bratton moves the Crimson Tide back to the attack over the center court stripe. Passes down the left side to Quindazzi. Krigler tries to knock down the incoming pass, fails. Quindazzi misses the shot. Cox gets the rebound, but not quickly enough as he is tied up by Quindazzi. Cox at 6'4" will have 1-inch height advantage on the jump situation. 2 minutes and 58 seconds have been played in the second half here at Montgomery. Here's the toss, the tap by Cox to Adrian Smith. He passes in front court to Vernon Hatton. Over to Krigler, fakes a shot, back to Hatton. He's open from 25 feet, no good. Out deep, Cox knocks the rebound to Adrian Smith. Into Beck on the pivot, a 15-footer. Good! Ed Beck hits again, his 5th field goal, and Kentucky has finally caught Alabama 23-all. Here's Dick Bratton walking up now. Up in the front court, here's Bratton breaking down the right side to the corner. Cox slaps for the ball and misses it, and it goes to Fulmer in the pivot. Fulmer keeps his back to Beck, moves to the left. Here's a swooping hook, good. Jim Fulmer of Alabama with his 6th field goal makes it Alabama 25, Kentucky 23. We've just had word that Tarmolin of Tennessee is now fouled out. Here's Krigler missing from 20 feet, and Bratton rebounds for Alabama. Auburn is leading Tennessee 68-64 now, and Tarmolin has fouled out. We'll have a final score on that game very shortly as they're in the last 4 minutes. Here's Quindazzi of Alabama. Breaking through the free throw line, gives off fakes to Bratton, doesn't give to him, an outside high pass to Fulmer. Alabama leads 25-23, and they've got the ball. Gene Beard, the 6'3" guard now, out deep holding it. Passes to Fulmer on the pivot, who walks with it. Fulmer started to break to his left and couldn't stop. So Vernon Hatton gets the incoming pass from Adrian Smith, moves up over the midcourt stripe, passes to Smith, moves to the right, down the side, turns, gives to Cox. Here's the jump shot from the right, no good. Krigler taps, no good. Hatton gets the rebound, falls away, no good. Beck rebounds, whips out to Odie Smith, a 30-footer, no good. Krigler taps, no good. Now Alabama's got it. Pulled in by Beard. Well, Kentucky had plenty of chances then, but could not get the tying basket to fall. Dick Bratton of Alabama walking back up over the center court stripe. Kentucky's guards a little more aggressive out front now than they were in the first half. Here it is over to Hamner. He hands to Quindazzi. Out deep to Gene Beard. 5 minutes gone in the second half. 15 minutes to play. Here's Fulmer. Tries to take a shot and can't. Foul on Adrian Smith of Kentucky is his second one. And that's also the second foul on Kentucky in the second half. Jim Fulmer is on the Alabama free throw line. He's hit 4 out of 5. Fulmer has 16 points. Or all but 9 of those scored by the Tide. Here's Fulmer's free throw, good. So that's the third straight Alabama point after a 23-all deadlock, and the Tide leads 26-23. Hatton in front court, moves right side, passes out to Smith, back over to Hatton. Calls back out, moves to the right, fakes to shoot, gives out to Smith again. Off the left to Krigler. Cox in the pivot now as Krigler gives out to Smith. Over to Hatton. He moves to the right, picks up Fulmer, goes under the basket, tries to shoot, and shoots it into the back of the backboard, and it's out of bounds to Alabama. Well, Kentucky caught up at 23-all, but since then have been unable to get a shot to fall for them. That time they didn't actually get a shot. As Fulmer drove Hatton in behind the boards, his shot hit the underside of the board, which is out of bounds. Dick Bratton in front court now for the Crimson Tide. Passes to Fulmer. Kentucky had the lead only one time at 2-1. Here's Bratton on the right side, free throw line deep. Now breaking away from Odie Smith as he goes out deep with it. Wheels over to the left side. Gives it to Quindazzi, who breaks away from Krigler, goes under the basket, hooks no good, a foul committed out in court by John Krigler. That's the first foul in the ball game against Krigler, but 3 of them against Kentucky now in the second half, none by Alabama. Quindazzi, who's hit 3 out of 4, shoots 1 for the Tide. Quindazzi shoots short, no good, glances off the bottom of the rim to Johnny Cox, whips up to Adrian Smith. Alabama has that defense back set quickly. Here it is on the right side to Krigler, out to Adrian Smith. Breaks into the free throw line, gives out to Hatton, breaking down the left side, back to Smith. He's open from 15 feet. Missed it. Alabama rebounds as Fulmer goes up to get it. Kentucky unable to hit from the outside as they trail 26-23. Bill Cassidy is standing at the scorer's table now, waiting to become the first substitute for either team. Up in the front court, we have Dick Bratton of Alabama, moving down the right side against Adrian Smith. Breaks for the basket. Smith falls away and he lays it up. No good. Rolled across the rim. Taking it off, though, is Hamner of Alabama. Over to Quindazzi and out to Bratton. Down the left side again to Quindazzi. Breaks out on Krigler to the free throw line. Gives one wide open to Beard, who lays it in, and he is fouled by Vernon Hatton, committing his 4th foul of the game. And that's also 4 on Kentucky in the second half. The field goal is good. Alabama leads 28-23 on the first field goal in the ball game by Gene Beard. And here is timeout Kentucky, the second timeout by each ball club. Well, Kentucky tied it up, 23-all, and Alabama has hit for 5 straight points to move right back in front by their 5-point halftime margin. Now let's take 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky, 30 seconds past 10 o'clock.
Well, back here at the Alabama Coliseum in Montgomery, we have 13 minutes and 7 seconds to play with the score Alabama 28, Kentucky 23. Ed Beck is leading Kentucky with 10 points on 5 field goals. The second time this year that Beck has been into double figures. Kentucky's guards tonight, Adrian Smith and Vernon Hatton, do not have a field goal. And Johnny Cox and Krigler have only 4, so Beck has over half of Kentucky's field goals. Adrian Smith has come out of the lineup, and Bill Cassidy is the first substitute, a 22-year-old senior from Inez. Cassidy, 6'2", weighs 193. 28 points to rank number 9 in scoring with an average of 2.5. He had 10 points against Utah State for his best scoring night of the season. 27 seconds to play. The score is Auburn 71, Tennessee 66. Now here is Gene Beard on the Alabama free throw line for 1 shot. It's good. That gives him 3 points out of the trip, and Alabama leads 29-23. Vernon Hatton back in front court. Gives off to Cassidy. He moves to the right, takes it down the side against Bratton, turns, passes to Beck on the pivot, back to Cassidy. He takes a set shot that's no good. Taken off by Fulmer of Alabama. Gives over to Bratton. Cassidy picks up on him and runs into Fulmer. The foul on Cassidy is his first one in the game. Fulmer doing a good deal of acting on the play. Almost fell down as Cassidy brushed into him. 12 minutes, 48 seconds to go, and Fulmer who's hit 5 for 6, goes to the Alabama free throw line, shooting 1 on that 5th foul against Kentucky. So the Cats are dangerously close to hot water on personal fouls in the second half. None by Alabama, 5 by Kentucky. Fulmer hits. And the score is Alabama 30, Kentucky 23. Kentucky had it tied up, 23 all. Here's Hatton in front court. Gives to Cox on the left side. Out to Cassidy. Cassidy moves down the left side. Fakes to Cox. Gives deep to Hatton. Hatton moves to the right. Gives to Krigler. Out deep to Cassidy. Cassidy moves to the left side. Here's a foul on Bratton of Alabama, charging into Johnny Cox. That's the 3rd foul on Bratton and the first one against Alabama in the second half. Auburn has just beaten Tennessee. Final score is Auburn 72, Tennessee 66. That's the final score. So Johnny Cox on the Kentucky free throw line is shooting 1 shot. It's good. And the score is Alabama 30, Kentucky 24. 12 and a half minutes to play here at Montgomery. Kentucky has had the lead 1 time at 2-1. They had the game tied up 1 time at 23 all. Here it is to Fulmer against Beck on the right side. He keeps his back to him and passes out deep to Beard. Hatton playing with 4 personals on him as Fulmer hooks. No good. Ball knocked out of bounds by Krigler and Cox, and off the knee of Quindazzi it goes to Kentucky. Cassidy passing quickly in to Vernon Hatton. He moves it up into front court. The Cats are down by 6 points. Out deep to Cassidy. He takes a 25-foot set shot. Good. As Cassidy cuts the ropes from the outside, he's the 6th Wildcat to score, and it's 30-26. Up into front court now. Alabama's 6'3" Gene Beard gives a high one to Fulmer on the free throw line pivot. Over to Bratton, gets wide open and lays it up. No good. Missed a dead crip shot, and Cassidy rebounds. The left-hander whips to Hatton, moving in front court down the right side from 10 feet. Hatton hits, and a foul is called. Foul is against Alabama's Quindazzi. That's the first foul. The field goal by Hatton will count. Checkers, it's going to be on Hamner, his 2nd personal, and the 2nd one on Alabama in the second half. The field goal by Hatton is his 1st one of the game, pulling Kentucky within 2 points, and Johnny Cox is on the free throw line for 1 shot. Cox's free throw is good, so Kentucky makes a 3-point trip out of it, and they cut the Alabama lead to 1 point, 30-29. 11 minutes, 25 seconds to play here at Montgomery, Alabama. Actually, the Auburn campus is closer to Montgomery than Tuscaloosa, the Alabama campus. Here's Quindazzi with it on the baseline just to the right of the basket, passing out to Fulmer deep on the right side. Beck plays him loosely. Fulmer passes out to Beard now. Beard moving to the left. Gives over to Bratton now. He keeps it deep against Vernon Hatton. Gives to Fulmer at the top rim of the circle. Pushing foul goes against Alabama. Pushing foul either on Hamner or Quindazzi. E.B. Hamner drawing the personal. It's his 3rd one, and the 3rd one against the Crimson Tide as Johnny Cox goes back to the free throw line with a chance to tie up this 30-29 game. 10 minutes and 55 seconds to play. Here's Cox. He's got 1 free throw coming, that's all. He shoots, no good. Fight for the rebound, goes to Alabama's Hamner, and he's fouled by Krigler. So that's the 2nd foul on Krigler, and the 6th one against Kentucky this second half, which means now any more fouling by Kentucky, and the bonus rule goes into effect. Here's Hamner on the line for the first time, shooting 1. No good. Tapped by Fulmer into the air, and Krigler out-jumps him for it. Over to Cassidy. Hop along, as his teammates call it. Brings it into front court, gives over to Vernon Hatton. Alabama 30, Kentucky 29. Hatton down the right side, breaks to the baseline, gets 3 men on him, shoots a bounce pass right to Quindazzi of Alabama. Hits the floor, and Cox picks it up. Cox out deep to Cassidy. Gives over to Beck, right side to Hatton. He fakes Fulmer, goes in wide open and lays it in good, and the goal counts with a foul on the play. Fulmer of Alabama draws his 2nd personal foul, and the 4th for the Crimson Tide, as Hatton's 2nd field goal of the game puts Kentucky in front for the first time in the second half. Kentucky leads 31-30. 10 minutes and 25 seconds to play. Hatton shooting 1 free throw, good, and so Hatton gets a 3-point trip, and the Cats lead 32-30. This is Kentucky's longest lead of the game. So Alabama down for the first time by 2 points on this deliberate offense they're using tonight. Called by some a stall, of course. Here it is into Fulmer in the pivot. Back outside to Beard, deep to Bratton. Bratton swings back to the left, cuts to the right. Fulmer doubles up as he's touched by Cassidy. That's the second foul on Cassidy, and Fulmer goes to the Alabama free throw line. Fulmer has hit 6 out of 7 charity tosses, and now the bonus rule goes into effect against Kentucky. Means that Fulmer can tie it up. Fulmer shoots. Shot good. Fulmer, not realizing the bonus rule was into effect, ran all the way back to the center court stripe. Auburn beat Tennessee tonight. Auburn 72, Tennessee 66. Now a chance to tie up this 32-31 game. Fulmer shoots no good. Rebounding Krigler of Kentucky over to Cassidy to Vernon Hatton. Hatton talks with Cassidy, gives to him as he crosses the 10-second stripe. Cassidy moves down the right side, whips to Hatton, who breaks on Bratton and gives to Cox in the right corner. Jump shot, good. As Johnny Cox gets his second field goal of the game, the score's Kentucky 34, Alabama 31. This is Kentucky's longest lead of the game. 3-point advantage, 9 minutes, 45 seconds to play. Up into front court, Beard on the left side to Quindazi to Fulmer in the pivot. Hooks over Beck, good. Fulmer gets his 7th field goal, and Alabama comes within 1 point, 34-32. Here's Hatton in front court for the Wildcats, giving over to Cassidy straight away. Moves to the right, gives to Hatton. Hatton breaks against Bratton to the right, goes by Fulmer, comes under and lays it in. Vernon Hatton going to his individual move now. Has picked up 3 field goals in this half, and Kentucky leads for the second time by 3 points, and Alabama calls timeout. Alabama's 3rd timeout of the game. The score is Kentucky 36, Alabama 33. Well, we saw Alabama go in front by 30-23 after the Cats had caught the Tide at 23 all. But a run of 7 straight Alabama points put Kentucky down 30-23. Since then, Kentucky has outscored Alabama 13-3 for the best Kentucky run of the ball game. Here's the scoring in the second half now for Kentucky. Hatton has 7 points, a total of only 8 for the ball game. Johnny Cox has 6 points for a total of only 7 for the game. There's the score just being announced here in Montgomery that Auburn has defeated Tennessee. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Auburn beating Tennessee tonight means that if Kentucky can beat Alabama, Kentucky has the NCAA bid from the Southeastern Conference. Because if Kentucky wins, only Kentucky and Auburn would be left, and Auburn cannot play in the NCAA because they are under suspension. Well, that makes this game all the more important. Kentucky can not only wrap up a tie for the championship, but they can get the NCAA bid here tonight, and here we go. Up in the front court's Gene Beard of Alabama, trailing by 3 points. Looks at Fulmer, gives to him at the free throw line high pivot. He moves to the left, pulls up as Cassidy is switched off on him. Passes out deep now to Hamner. Back over to Bratton. Cassidy switches back as Bratton moves down the right side, looking at Fulmer. We're into the last 9 minutes of this game. Here's Beard out deep with it. Cubison, Alabama's guard that averaged almost 24 points a game, is not playing tonight. He's been suspended from the team, at least for tonight's game. Maybe back against Tennessee Monday night in Tuscaloosa. Here's Quindazi on the left side for Alabama, passing deep to Beard. Beard holds the ball, and Hatton loosens up on him as he takes it out deeper, straight away about 35 feet. Down the left side of Quindazi, spins in there to within 10 feet, and then passes out to Bratton. Cassidy got a hand on it, but not enough to deflect it. Bratton gives to Fulmer in the pivot, spins out into the 3-second zone, jump shot short. Beck knocks the rebound down and out of bounds. So Alabama keeps possession on this near side of the offensive court. Bratton passing deep to Beard. Beard out deep with it, swinging to the left. Down the left side to Quindazi. Kentucky plays Auburn Monday night in Birmingham. Here is a break by Bratton from 10 feet. He hits. Dick Bratton gets his first field goal of the game, and Alabama's within 1 point at 36-35. Cassidy of Kentucky back in front court, gives to Hatton. Hatton moves to the right side, and a foul by Bratton. Check us, a foul on Beck. Well, Bratton ran right into Beck, and they call the foul on Beck, his 4th foul of the game. That's the same foul that Fulmer has been getting so many free throws off of. This time the officials rule that Beck moved a little bit. So Alabama has a chance to take the lead. As 5'9" Dick Bratton goes to the free throw line for one shot, but the bonus rule is into effect. Bratton has hit 2 out of 4. Now here he is ready to go. Little 5'9" guard pumps it up good. And so with Alabama's third straight point, they tie it up 36 all. 7 minutes, 44 seconds to play. Bratton on the line for the bonus try. Alabama has committed 4, which means they've got 2 more before the bonus rule goes into effect against them. Bonus shot good. And Alabama, down 3 points twice, has come on top 37-36. Cassidy leads Kentucky back into front court, gives to Krigler on the right side. Back to Cassidy, 30-foot set, no good. Rebounding, Hatton taps, back taps. Krigler rebounds, out to Cassidy, 15-foot jumper, no good. Hatton taps, twice, no good. Out of bounds, goes to Kentucky. Now they say, let's jump it. 7 minutes and 21 seconds to play. Alabama 37, Kentucky 36. The two centers jump, giving Kentucky 1-inch height advantage, and back taps to Krigler, spins on Quindazi to the baseline, falls away, shot no good, and Hamner rebounds for Alabama unopposed. Alabama's calling timeout, their 4th timeout of the game. Well, here's the picture in Montgomery, Alabama. 7 minutes, 12 seconds to play. Alabama 37, Kentucky 36. Crimson Tide has picked up possession of the ball now. They've been in a stall in this entire ball game. They led by 22-17 at halftime, and when we go back to play, it'll be Alabama's ball at midcourt. Alabama's suspending their high point man, Kubison, who is averaging almost 24 points a game for this action tonight. And even without Kubison, they hold a 1-point edge over Kentucky. Kentucky made a 13-3 run on Alabama when they were trailing by 7 points. Seemed to be ready to go, but the Tide now has battled right back here. Alabama has not made a change in that lineup. Of course, this is the type game that's not tiring since there's very little running. Kentucky has Hatton and Beck on the floor with 4 personal fouls, so that's a touchy situation. Alabama has no one with 4. We'll be with you Monday night over these same Standard Oil stations from Birmingham, where Kentucky plays Auburn. Broadcast time is 8:45 Eastern Time, 7:45 Central Standard Time. Gene Beard of Alabama will put it in play, neither coach changing his lineup. Beard passes to Bratton in back court, and the Alabama guard moves it back over the center stripe. Tide holds a 1-point edge now. Alabama has 4 field goals in the second half. Kentucky has come out to pick up 7. However, Alabama's made the difference at the free throw line. Kentucky's had only 4 free throws. Here's to Quindazi on a double pivot. He breaks for the basket, gives off right side to Hamner, out deep to Fulmer. He gives over to Bratton, breaking to the right side against Cassidy. Bratton just tom-tomming the ball, using Fulmer as a screen against Cassidy. Alabama's in the freeze. Here it goes over to Quindazi now, deep. Beard comes out deep to get the pass. Quindazi sets the screen as Beard moves slowly to the right, stays deep. Here's a foul called. It's on Alabama. Looks like it is Quindazi drawing his second one. And according to our record, that's 5 on Alabama. The second half gives Kentucky a chance to tie it up. Vernon Hatton will be shooting. He's hit 2 out of 3. 6 minutes, 28 seconds to play. Hatton will have only 1 try. Bonus rule into effect against Kentucky, not Alabama. Hatton's free throw ties it up 37-all. Alabama gets possession. Dick Bratton, as his coach, Dr. Lambert's up off the bench yelling to him. He stops, and the coach waves to him to go on. So Hamner trots over the center stripe for one of the few times in the game, breaks down the right side. Cassidy switches off on Fulmer, now switches back to Bratton, who breaks for the baseline, turns, brings it back out deep. Bratton holding the ball up high over his head now, whips to Fulmer out on the top rim of the circle. Fulmer backs away very deep with it. Passes over to Gene Beard, back to Fulmer. Down the right side against Beck, 10 feet away. Here's a foul called. It's on Cassidy of Kentucky. Cassidy has drawn his 3rd personal foul. And Cassidy will come out of the game. He's being replaced by Adrian Smith, who has not yet moved up to the scorer's table, as Dick Bratton of Alabama has hit 2 straight here on the free throw line now. Bonus rule, in effect, has a chance to break this 37-all tie. Bratton stands in and eyes. The shot's good. Alabama's back in front at 38-37. And Cassidy comes out. Adrian Smith back in the Kentucky lineup. Hatton and Beck playing with those 4 personal fouls. Bonus rule not in effect yet against Alabama. It is against Kentucky. Now Bratton stands in at the line. He's hit 5 for 7. Shooting his 8th free throw of this contest right now. It's good. So the score is Alabama 39, Kentucky 37. Vernon Hatton moves up the back court over the 10-second stripe. Fakes a bounce pass to Cox, gives over to Smith, down the right to Beck, who comes off the pivot, into the pivot to Johnny Cox against Hamner. He goes to the baseline, backs away into the right corner, almost losing the ball. Over to Adrian Smith, brings it out deep against Bratton, gives over to Hatton. Hatton moves in, gives to Adrian Smith, fakes to the left side, gives back over to Hatton. Here it is to Cox on the right side. He turns on Hamner and walks with it, and it's out of bounds to Alabama. Cox incidentally hit the jump shot. 5 minutes and 18 seconds to play here at Montgomery. Alabama leads 39-37. Alabama keeping it in the deep freeze as Bratton just tom-toms it out deep, dancing back away from Adrian Smith. Smith moves in on him. Bratton moves down the right side. Beck cuts him off in a switch, and the pass is out to Fulmer. Back to Bratton. Bratton just tom-tomming the ball now out deep. Pulls up on the dribble. Whips to Fulmer in on the pivot. Fulmer back out deep to Beard. Fulmer hit 14 points in the first half. Has come back with 7 in this half. Gives over to Bratton. The fans yell as Hatton brushed against Fulmer, going by him on a screen. Fulmer gets the pass out deep. Fulmer yells every time he's touched in there. Here's Fulmer from 10 feet, missing. Rebounding, Kentucky. Adrian Smith gets it on the bounce. 4.5 minutes to play now. Alabama leads 39-37. Smith in front court to Krigler. Right corner to Hatton. He takes the shot, and it's no good. Up into the air. It's out deep now to Adrian Smith, who gets it just in front court. Kentucky gets another try. Here it is over to Hatton to Krigler on the right side. Krigler looks it back, gives out to Odie Smith. Smith, a bounce pass to Hatton at the free throw line. He fakes Bratton from 15 feet. Hatton hits, ties it up, and a foul is called on the play. It is against Kentucky, though. The goal is good by Vernon Hatton, his 4th field goal, all of them in this half. The foul on Johnny Cox is his 2nd one of the game, ties it up 39-all with 4 minutes and 5 seconds to go. Now at the Alabama free throw line is E.B. Hamner. Hamner's had 1 try and missed it. He's got a chance to break this 39-all tie, though, very quickly. E.B. Hamner, 6'6" forward. He shoots good. No good. Bounced off the rim to Quindazzi. Jump shot, no good. And Beck rebounds for Kentucky. Flips to Smith to Hatton, who holds it up in front court. Passes right side to Krigler. Breaks for the basket on Quindazzi and shoots no good. Alabama's got it as Fulmer comes off with it. Well, Kentucky had the golden opportunity to go ahead then. Unable to get that ball to fall once again. Kentucky has had a lot of trouble with shooting tonight. In the first half, the Cats hit only 26.1%. 6 field goals is all Kentucky was able to get in that first half. 39-39 the score with 3.5 minutes to play. Here's Fulmer getting it out deep from Bratton. Hands right back to Bratton. The little 5'9" guard dribbling out deep. Here it is over to Gene Beard. Auburn beat Tennessee tonight. Auburn 72, Tennessee 66. Here's Bratton moving to the right side against Adrian Smith. Fulmer comes off of the pivot. Passes over to Quindazzi on the left and out deep. He moves to the top rim of the circle, gives over to Gene Beard. He's got Hatton on him. Out deep now to Bratton. 3 minutes to play. Alabama, Kentucky tied 39-all here in Montgomery. Alabama without Cubison, who's under suspension. Here's the pass to Fulmer. 1 bounce dribble. Beck moves in on him, and he passes out deep to Quindazzi. Quindazzi gives over to Beard. Alabama freezing. 2 minutes, 40 seconds to go. Well, does Alabama want to freeze down for that last shot this far away? Here's Bratton breaking against Adrian Smith. The foul is on Bratton of Alabama for charging. That's 4 personal fouls on Alabama's Bratton and 6 on the Tide, which means after this, the bonus rule will be in effect against both teams. Clock stopped with 2 minutes and 34 seconds to go. Kentucky's Adrian Smith, who's hit 3 out of 5, will shoot 1. Chance to break a 39-all tie. So Adrian Smith gets the ball, shooting 1. Flips it up. No good. And Beck hit in the face, doubled up to protect his face, and Alabama got the rebound. So it remains 39-all. Bratton of Alabama walks back over the center stripe where he's picked up by Smith, gives one to Fulmer, still playing deep. Hands off to Beard, moving down the right side. Kentucky getting more aggressive defensively now. Here's the pass out to Fulmer. Krigler made a move at him, but was unable to get to him. Here it is over to Quindazzi. Krigler stabbing and missing. Hatton and Beck playing with 4 personal fouls. Here it is over to Bratton. Bratton tom-tomming the ball out deep on this Alabama freeze. Here it is over to Fulmer. Hatton stabs, knocks the ball a little bit, but not loose. Over to Beard, out deep to Bratton. 2 minutes to go. Down the right side, it goes to Quindazzi, brings it out to the top rim of the circle. Alabama's in a slow weave. Deep with it is Beard. Flips off to Bratton, out deep. Bratton sweeps down the middle, turns off with a pass over to Hamner. Right back to Bratton. 1 minute, 35 seconds to play. Kentucky and Alabama tied 39 all. Fulmer out deep to Quindazzi now. Krigler moves in on Quindazzi. Stabbing for it, but unable to reach the ball as it goes over to Bratton now. 1 minute, 20 seconds to go. Auburn beat Tennessee 72-66. Here's the pass to Fulmer in the pivot. Juggles the ball, but holds on. Gives back to Bratton over to Quindazzi. 1 minute, 10 seconds. 9 seconds of play now here in Montgomery, Alabama. Crimson Tide in that deep stall that they've been in all night. Led 22-17 at half. Right now it's deadlocked with 1 minute to go. Gene Beard out deep, moving to the left. Alabama's going to apparently freeze for one shot. Here it is over now to Fulmer, who's out deep over to Beard. Back over it goes to Bratton. 48 seconds to go. Bratton moves down the right side, then whips to Fulmer. Back to Bratton. That was a quick pass by Bratton. Fulmer had to react quickly to get it. Back to Fulmer now, away to the right side, off of the pivot. Beck hesitates, moves in on him a little. Out deep to Bratton, 33 seconds on the clock. Timeout, Alabama. And according to our records, that's 5. Alabama times out. So we have come down to the final seconds of play with the score Alabama 39, Kentucky 39. 31 seconds to play, to be exact. And when we go back to play, Alabama has the ball at midcourt. As Adrian Smith had a free throw that could have given Kentucky the 1-point edge, but it would not perhaps have made much difference because Alabama wanted to freeze for the last shot. But on the missed free throw by Adrian Smith, when Ed Beck went for the rebound, he was hit in the face, and as Beck reacted to grab his face, the rebound came off right in front of him to Hamner of Alabama. 10:25 to go. Kentucky had a 31-30 lead. With 9 minutes and 14 seconds to go, the Cats held their longest lead of the game, 3 points, 36-33. 7:44 to go. Alabama was back in front, 37-36. So that shows you now in the last 7 minutes and 44 seconds, Alabama has scored 2 points and Kentucky scored 3. Well, with not quite that much time. But over 7 minutes to go, we've had only 5 points by both teams. So here we go for the final 31 seconds of play. Gene Beard is out of bounds, and he passes in backcourt to Bratton. Alabama will take one shot. Let's see how things work out. Bratton is still in backcourt, just tom-tomming the ball. Now steps over the center stripe. 20 seconds to go. Adrian Smith backs up off of him. Kentucky has decided on its defensive strategy. Smith moves out. Bratton starts to break. 12 seconds to go. Let's see who's going to take the shot. Bratton still tom-tomming the ball. 7 to go. Here goes the move. The pass is to Fulmer, and here's the shot. No good. Johnny Cox of Kentucky has got it. Timeout, Kentucky. But too late. They did not stop the clock. That brings Kentucky co-captains Vernon Hatton and Ed Beck out to complain. The clock did not stop. And the ball game is over. Tied up 39 all. Well, the Alabama Crimson Tide wanted Fulmer to take the last shot of the game, which he did and missed it. And so stand by for an overtime. Well, we saw the game end with Kentucky complaining about the timing, as they called timeout, but the clock didn't stop. The first half ended with the Alabama coach complaining about the timing. Kentucky had a free throw. Adrian Smith shot a free throw and hit on the bonus shot with 1 second to go. He missed the free throw, but Kentucky got 2 shots with 1 second to play. 39-39 is the score. Well, we have a 5-minute overtime coming up, although the clock yet has not been moved back. There's still some discussion going on. Bratton is out talking with the officials now. Kentucky is no longer talking with the officials as they have the ball at midcourt. Well, we've just noticed here that they're holding up 2 fingers down at the scores table. Although there's no time on the clock, Kentucky is going to get the ball, so hold on. It's all off. This game is not yet in overtime. Apparently, there are about 2 seconds to play because Kentucky's got the ball, yet no time on the clocks here in the Coliseum. Pass to Hatton and a quick shot from 60 feet. Ooh, it hit the rim and bounced off. Hatton shooting from about 60 feet. The horn sounded with the ball in the air. Now let's see what happens. Well, they're back over at the scores table talking again. Well, this is a very difficult situation to figure out. There was no announcement or no pre-game statement made. That horn sounded just almost as the ball touched Hatton's hand, which, of course, Coach Adolph Rupp and Harry Lancaster want to argue that that can't be with the 2 officials, because as the ball touched Hatton's hands, the horn went off, and there were 2 seconds to go, yet the clock showed nothing to go. Now, Dr. Lambert, the Alabama coach, is up talking about it. Well, apparently we're going to get an overtime, although there is a public address system here. As all this discussion goes on down below us, we are not at the scores table here in Montgomery, but high above courtside in radio booths. Well, now the clock is going to be cranked up to 5 minutes, and we'll play an overtime. So stand by for 5 minutes of overtime action between Kentucky and Alabama, with the score, Kentucky 39, Alabama 39. And before the overtime period, let's take 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky. The time is 29 minutes past 10 o'clock.
Once again, this is Claude Sullivan speaking from the Coliseum in Montgomery, Alabama. Standing by for the overtime period. Apparently neither coach is going to change his lineup. Kentucky playing with Hatton and Beck, holding 4 personal fouls. Bratton of Alabama has been charged with 4. Alabama has not made a substitute. They have only 3 available for the game. Jack Cubison, their high-scoring guard with a 24-point average, was suspended from the team and is not dressed for this action tonight. Well, here we go. Fulmer and Beck move in to shake hands with each other. Kentucky outscored Alabama by 5 points in the second half to catch up. So this is the overtime period starting. The tap knocked away from Krigler, taken by Adrian Smith in back court. Gives it over to Vernon Hatton, and here we go with our overtime period. Hatton up into front court now, moves to the top rim of the circle, passes left side to Krigler, who brings it out front, gives to Hatton. Fakes a set shot, moves down the right side against Bratton, trying to take him to the pivot. Outside pass to Smith, back to Hatton on the right side. Hamner, 5'9", is on Hatton. It gives Hatton 5.5 inches advantage, and he wants to take him to the pivot. Here's Hatton from 20 feet, missed it, off the rim to Alabama. Went through the legs of Gene Beard, and Hatton picked it up. Here it is on the left side to Krigler, outside to Hatton. Smith moves in, leaving Hatton out by himself. Hatton moves to the right, looks at Krigler, passes to Cox. Back to Hatton, down the left side to Smith, back out to Hatton. 45 seconds gone in this overtime period. Here it is over to Krigler. Score was tied up 39-all in the last 4 minutes. Shot by Hatton, no good. Beck taps, no good. Cox taps, no good. Foul call. It is against Kentucky. Pushing foul. Let's see who it's against. Ed Beck. And according to our records, that's 5 personal fouls on Ed Beck. That's right. Ed Beck fouls out. 4 minutes and 2 seconds in the overtime. So Ed Beck comes out with 10 points on 5 field goals. When Beck had his 5th field goal go through the nets, he had better than half of Kentucky's field goals. The Cats had only 9 field goals at that time. Phil Johnson making his first appearance tonight to replace Beck. Johnson, a 21-year-old junior from Lexington, is 6'6", weighs 220, has 73 points, an average of 4 a game, ranks number 7 in scoring. His big night against Utah State when he scored 11. Jim Fulmer of Alabama on the free throw line to shoot. Fulmer has hit 7 out of 9. Bonus rule in effect against both teams now. Fulmer hits. And Alabama takes the overtime lead 40-39. Auburn beat Tennessee tonight. Auburn 72, Tennessee 66. Fulmer's bonus try coming up. He's a one-handed shooter. Sights and hits. And Alabama leads 41-39 with 4 minutes in the overtime period. Up in the front court is Vernon Hatton. Johnson plays the pivot now. Hatton on the left side to Krigler. Cuts to break and then gives over to Hatton. Goes down the right side. Hands to Cox in the corner. Jump shot, no good. Off the rim, Hatton rebounds, knocking it out to Adrian Smith, over to Cox. Back deep to Smith, over to Hatton. He fakes, gives back to Smith. Over to Hatton. Back to Smith. Left side to Cox. Over to Smith to Hatton. Down the right side to Krigler. Out deep to Hatton. Hatton waving Cox and Krigler both off the right side to open it up. Passes to Krigler. Back over to Hatton. Hatton down the right side. 25-footer, no good. Tapped up and in by Johnny Cox. Johnny Cox's third field goal of the game ties it up 41-all with 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go. So Alabama's got 2 free throws, Kentucky a field goal in this overtime period. 3 minutes in the ball game now in this overtime period, the first one we've played. Dick Bratton of Alabama keeps the ball out of play out deep. Alabama froze the ball for almost 4 minutes. Here's Bratton driving on Smith and missing. The foul is called on the play against Smith for blocking. Adrian Smith's third personal foul of the game sends Alabama's Dick Bratton to the free throw line. Bratton's hit 6 out of 8. He's hit 5 out of 6 in this second half. Bonus rule in effect against each team. 2 minutes, 46 seconds to play in the overtime here at Montgomery, Alabama. Here's Bratton now, the 5'9" Alabama guard, shooting here in the clutch. Rockets it up and in. Alabama, for the second time, is in front here in the overtime period, 42-41. Bratton back well off the free throw line, now moves back in to try the bonus shot. Bratton stands just pounding the ball into the floor. Looks up at the basket. Right-handed shooter. Bratton looks and shoots. Good. So for the second time in the overtime period, Alabama takes a 2-point lead at 43-41 without the aid of a field goal. Here's Hatton breaking to the right side, goes under the basket, almost slips and falls, but holds on, hands to Krigler, out deep to Smith. 2.5 minutes in the overtime. On the right side to Hatton, he weaves, drives on Bratton, turns, gives to Johnson. Johnson a one-bounce dribble and out to Smith. Down the right to Cox. Here's a jump shot. No good. Johnson taps up. No good. Krigler taps. No good. Out of bounds. Who is it? Kentucky gets it. 2 minutes, 12 seconds to go as Johnson will put it in play. The pass is to Krigler, 20 feet to the right. He shoots good. John Krigler hitting his first field goal of the second half. Ties it up 43-all. 2 minutes to go. And the game is tied at 43-all. We're in the overtime period here at Montgomery. Bratton of Alabama is in front court with it. Fires to Fulmer out on the top rim of the circle, deep to Beard. Down the right to Fulmer. Over to Bratton. Bratton backs away, and Alabama may be again freezing for the last shot. Bratton breaks to the right, quickly pulls up, passes over to Quindazzi. Out deep on John Krigler. 1.5 minutes to go in the overtime period here at Montgomery. Gene Beard out deep now to Dick Bratton. Bratton just tom-tomming the ball on Adrian Smith. Breaks down the middle, turns and comes out, though. Bratton holds the ball high over his head, gives to Fulmer on the right side, well off of the pivot. Johnson moves in on him as he passes out to Quindazzi. Quindazzi just holds the ball away from Krigler as Fulmer comes out, stands in front of Krigler. Johnson plays off to the side. They've got Quindazzi covered regardless of which way he goes, and he's deep. Now he moves left and gives to Bratton. 54 seconds to play. We're in the overtime. Ended up 39-all at regulation playing time. Here's Disto over to Fulmer. He's out deep on the right side. Hands over to Gene Beard. Hatton playing him loosely. 40 seconds now to go. Here it is over to Bratton. Moves down the right side. Backs away. Fulmer's playing the pivot at the free throw line. Here's Bratton tom-tomming the ball. Breaks down the right side on Adrian Smith and falls out of bounds with it. A whistle, and it goes to Kentucky. 27 seconds to go as Adrian Smith has got it out of bounds, and Kentucky is going to call a timeout. Well, the timeout by Kentucky was taken with 22 seconds to go, which means that the Wildcats have plenty of time to work for the last shot of the game, which Alabama has been able to successfully do. Alabama, as a matter of fact, was working for the last shot of the first half. Alabama coach Lambert, in stomping his foot on the floor right now, as though Bratton made the mistake in driving down the right side too vigorously against Smith with too much time to go. They both collided, not very hard, and Bratton lost his balance and fell out of bounds. Well, Alabama ended the first half, the second half, and was well on the way to ending the overtime period in its stall to get the last shot. And now Kentucky will, at least for the moment, 22 seconds to go in the overtime period, have the same opportunity. Kentucky has only 2 points from its substitutes tonight, that by Cassidy. Johnson in the game right now for Beck, who fouled out with 4 minutes, 2 seconds in this overtime period. We're ready to go. Adrian Smith out of bounds, passes to Vernon Hatton in backcourt. Hatton moves over the center stripe, and the clock ticks away. 17, 16, 15, as Hatton just stands tom-tomming the ball. Gives it over to Adrian Smith, moving slowly to the right, passing to Krigler, back to Smith. 8 seconds to go. Let's see who takes the shot. Will it be Hatton? Here it is to Krigler. Krigler from 25 feet shoots good. 2-1, ball game's over. And Krigler took it and got it. How about that? John Krigler in an overtime gives Kentucky a victory over Alabama. And ladies and gentlemen, Kentucky will be in the Southeastern Conference representative to the NCAA tournament. Krigler's being carried off the floor by his teammates. Well, here at the Alabama Coliseum this morning, all the Wildcats in a brisk 1-hour workout were talking about the great shooting of Krigler, and they elected to give Krigler and not Hatton the last shot of the ball game. Ed Beck is the only Wildcat who did not go to the dressing room. He ran back out on the floor to grab the Alabama coach, Dr. Eugene Lambert's hand, and shake it. And now Beck and Fulmer are in a discussion down off to our left. Beck, of course, makes friends with all of these opposing centers, and Beck now has a problem of finding the Kentucky dressing room. Well, Dr. Eugene Lambert had a very bold decision to make, one of discipline, and that is to bring back the morale to his ball club, and that was cutting Cubison off, a guard who was averaging almost 24 points a game. He did it and played Kentucky right down to the wire in an overtime before finally losing on a 25-foot field goal by Krigler from the right side. Well, that wraps it all up, and we'll have individual scoring in this tense and tight ball game, which saw Kentucky battle constantly from behind in just a moment. You know, this is the 72nd year that Standard Oil products have maintained sales leadership in an industry that is highly competitive. This unusual record could not have been maintained without the continued confidence of consumers of petroleum products in the 5 states the Standard Oil Company of Kentucky serves: Kentucky, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi. This record is a testimonial of confidence not only in the quality of Standard Oil products, but also in the dependable service of those associated with the company and in the general conduct of the company's business. Standard Oil Company appreciates the confidence of Southern motorists as expressed in continued and increasing patronage. It is their greatest asset, and they guard it as such. Well, Alabama has lost to Kentucky tonight, which means Kentucky now has clinched a tie for the conference championship because Auburn beat Tennessee tonight. Only Kentucky and Auburn are left in the race, and Auburn, under NCAA suspension, cannot go to the NCAA tournament. So Kentucky tonight wrapped up the tournament bid to the the NCAA tournament, which opens at Memorial Coliseum the 14th. Now, it also means further that Coach Adolph Rupp is going to try to add an extra game to the Kentucky schedule for 2 weeks from tonight, or March the 8th. And he told us this afternoon that what he's going to try to do is to schedule a game for Memorial Coliseum against one of the teams that will be going to the NIT in New York. So look for that game to be added to the Kentucky schedule, because by the limit they can play 26, and they have only 25 carded. Kentucky, in winning tonight, got its 18th victory against 5 losses, and they have 11 victories against the Georgia Tech defeat in the conference, and now have a lead. Bernie Shively talking to Carney Lashley, an old Kentucky assistant coach, standing down in front of us here now at Alabama. Well, Ed Beck tonight played one of his great ball games. He fouled out with 4 minutes, 2 seconds in the overtime period, and he had 5 field goals. When Beck got his 5th field goal, Kentucky had only 9. Beck got 3 of the 5 in the first half and ended up with 10 points. The second time this season he's been in double figures. Kentucky tonight got 4 field goals out of Vernon Hatton, who ended up with 11 points. 4 field goals and 3 for 4 at the free throw line. John Krigler picked up 4 field goals. He was shut out in the second half, and as 2 seconds rolled up on the clock, Krigler hit to give Kentucky the overtime victory tonight. He had 8 points on the 4 field goals. 9 points for Johnny Cox. 3 field goals, 1 of them in the overtime period, and 3 for 4 at the free throw line. Adrian Smith tonight was shut out from the field, and he hit 3 out of 6 on the free throw line for 3 points. Bill Cassidy picked up 2 points in the second half on a field goal, and the other substitute, Phil Johnson, did not score. For Alabama, of course, it was Jim Fulmer, the big, fine 6'6" center, who hit the ropes for 7 field goals. And he ended up leading the scoring with a total of 23 points. 2 of them came in the overtime period at the free throw line. 9 out of 11 for Fulmer on the free throw line for his 23 points. Aside from Fulmer, Alabama had only 4 other field goals, 2 of them by Quindazzi in the first half. Quindazzi got 7 points, all in the first half. He was shut out in the second half. 2 field goals, 3 for 5 on the free throw line. 3 points for Gene Beard, all in the second half, a field goal and a free throw. And Dick Bratton, who actually made the mistake that beat Alabama, came up with a pair of free throws in the overtime periods and hit 8 out of 10 and got into double figures with a field goal. He had only 1 point in the first half, but came back to guide Alabama with 9 points in the second half and a total of 10. E.B. Hamner was shut out. He had 2 free throw attempts and missed them both, as Alabama had only 8 men available for duty and did not make a single substitution in this 45-minute ball game. Well, Auburn beat Tennessee tonight by 6 points. Tarmolin and Frederick, the 2 stars of each club, fouled out, and the score was Auburn 72, Tennessee 66. It means that now Kentucky still leads the conference with an 11-1 record and tonight clinched a tie. Auburn is in second place with a record of 9-3. Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia Tech have all 3 been eliminated with the Kentucky victory tonight. It means that only Kentucky and Auburn can play for the conference title, and Auburn can do no better than a tie. Auburn must beat Kentucky Monday night and Alabama next Saturday, while Kentucky loses both games for Auburn to get the tie. To go ahead, but a field goal by Johnny Cox tied it up.